Thanks, man. All right, we are live.
I didn't know you were going to be wearing that.
Yeah, so it was my 30th birthday last weekend. So I basically wore this all weekend in some, it's my effing birthday sash thing that Elle got me. And we had a fun time. It was a good time. As people fly in,
man, that's
surprise
awesome.
me.
Well,
we did a tour of the rum distillery near us, and then kind of hung out at some rooftop bars, and so I don't know. It was a good time. We had a good time. So
that sounds awesome. Well, happy birthday, man! Welcome to the 30s. How does it feel?
I feel old now. So yeah, 30's new 20, right?
It's a little secret I learned.
So that's the key.
We're only as old as we act, man.
Huh? Yeah,
we're
exactly.
As old as we act.
Yeah.
And so today I'm 12. I don't even care.
So I'm gonna wear it. If I have it, I'm gonna wear it. So you may see this on future lives too. Maybe I'll give this to the king of rebuttals today. So whoever's got the best rebuttals, maybe I'll officially knight them. Night of rebuttals. So we'll see. Okay, hey, people that are hopping on, I see you guys are hopping on. Elle's about to send out a broadcast through the chat bot to let you guys know as well. Make sure you let us know that you can hear us, that you can see us. Otherwise, this is pointless. So make sure you can hear us and see us. Let us know in the comments. Thanks for the happy birthdays. Elle is going to drop a link in the comments that if you've never clicked it before, please click it, and it'll let us see your profile and picture when you comment rather than it saying comment from viewer. So I'm not exactly sure who commented. I think that might have been Kyle Ray. So thanks for that. Rob Liano saying what's up. Thanks for joining us, Rob. I know you've got some pretty good rebuttals, objections as well. So look forward to hearing everything from you guys. We're going to go over some common objections today, as well as some great rebuttals. We want to hear from you guys too on what you guys normally use for rebuttals. And so we're going to open it up for people to drop rebuttals in the comments too. I'm going to be giving prizes out for some really good rebuttals in the comments. So I'll be giving away some trip certificates to a bunch of different things. I might just give you all 6 of them if you have a good rebuttal. And then we're going to pick out probably one of the best rebuttals of the day in the comments, and I'll be giving you guys like a free month of our insurance marketing toolkit or something as a prize for that. So stick around with us. There will be prizes. And make sure you click that link so we know who's commenting and everything. Renee's saying hi. So let us know. You can see us, hear us. Let us know where you're tuning in from, and what lines of insurance you specialize in, and maybe a common objection you hear the most that is something you run into all the time. So here's that link I was talking about. So if you click this link, it will let us know who you are, so I can easily pull your comment up and see you. We lost Tyler for a sec. I'm sure he's hopping back. So the whole point of today is how to rock it with rebuttals. We all sell, we all talk to people, and people have objections. Obviously, if you can overcome them when you're selling before they even get to that point, that's ideal. But you're going to run into them. People are going to have some reason that they're hesitant to buy, or they don't want to buy right now. And your job as agents and sales agents is to find out what that objection actually is. It might be different than what they say. And for helping overcome that, whether it's establishing more trust, actually removing those barriers, whatever it is, there are some opportunities where it's not going to happen, but in most cases, it's just a matter of overcoming the objections. So we'll chat about that. I've got some awesome people with me here today. So today we've got Daniel Farlow here, who's been killing it with AEP and OEP right now. And he is the man to talk to if you want to either learn to kind of market yourself with all the automations and fun stuff, or someone to do it all for you. So make sure to check out his either Ads for Agents or Policies on Demand. We'll drop some links to some stuff and maybe his calendar to chat with him. If you want to chat about any of that stuff, he's the guy to talk to. And also has helped us with Insurance Lead Machine, which we'll drop a link to as well if people want to check that out. Also here, we got John Lucero, Agency Elevated. He's been around the game for a long time, just chock full of knowledge and just amazing stuff for growing your business, not only your own production and yourself as an individual agent, but also growing your own agency and everything that goes along with that. That's a whole nother game and a whole nother world. And he's got tons of info and great advice and stuff on that. Killer podcast, killer blog, and some awesome in-depth free ebooks too. And actually on our marketplace, it's under the free resources and stuff. So if you go on there, Elle or someone will drop a link, then you can grab the free ebooks and a bunch of other cool stuff too. So make sure you do that. And then we got Tyler Raymer here too, wearing his trademark hat. as you can see. And from PNC Revolution, I mean, if you're any agent, but especially a PNC agent, make sure you hook up with Tyler. He's got a ton of awesome stuff. His organic social media course is killer. We have people going through that every single day off of the marketplace, off the site. So we'll drop a link to that. But it is a killer course if you're looking to get leads or referrals coming through social without ad spend and how to leverage Facebook. And he's got some other awesome stuff too that we'll eventually be talking about too. So it's good to see him. I know he's been in the trenches and busy as well. Well, but we've all been busy, so it's good to be back. I've been in Thailand, so I'm back doing these lives and happy to be here. So I think I covered most of it. We'll drop some links in the comments for the weekly highlights email. If you guys aren't on that, that goes out every single week. And it's the top stuff from the group, stuff like this video. You'll get the recording of it afterwards in case you're busy because you're out selling, because that's what you guys should be doing, is selling a ton of stuff. But if you're looking for advice and tips and stuff to grow your business, you can get that here and you can get that in the highlights. So make sure you click that to get on there. There's also going to be a link for our chatbot for reminders of when we go live on these events. If you're on that, you probably just got a chat right now telling you, hey, we're live, click this button to join us. So if you're not on that, click the link in the comments as it comes up, and you can join that chatbot, and we'll send you alerts whenever we're going live. And it's an easy way to keep track and be able to hop on. And then the final thing is someone will drop a link to the marketplace with a bunch of the free stuff there that you guys can go grab and take advantage of that as well. And I think that's the housekeeping. So I think I got through all that stuff. So let's dive into the meat and bones of today. And we got people commenting, hopping in. And here's Tyler's OSM. Here's the weekly highlights. There's going to be a lot of stuff in the comments, and I'll be pulling up people's responses to the objections and stuff as well. So yeah. So let's get rolling. So if you do have your own rebuttal to any of these objections that I pull up, then feel free to drop in the comments, and I'll be handing out prizes throughout. So, and last thing was the Facebook reminders. Click that for the reminders on the chatbot. So let's get rolling, and I'll probably go through each of you on each of these rebuttals, hear your thoughts and advice, and we'll do different orders so everybody kind of gets a chance to take first stab and stuff. So let's go. One of the most common ones is I can't afford it right now. Price objection. It's too expensive. I can't afford it. You know, people, that's probably one of the most common ones people hear at all. So, I mean, Dan, do you run into this at all?
Yeah. Depending on what line you're in, you got to really discover what people's budgets are. I usually try to find that out in the beginning of the call. So when I do make the pitch, whatever it is, then I'll be in line with where their budget is. I have said before too, and I don't know if I would advise this when you're brand.
Oh. Daniel freeze. Daniel might have froze.
We lose him? It's been dropping me once in a while. I don't know what's going on.
Oh, Daniel's back.
All right. I don't know where you lost me up there. Sorry about that. Anyway, what I was saying, Dave, is in the beginning of the call, try to set them up to ask them what their budget is for this. Our marketing is positioned in such to where we're very clear with what our offer is. We get the right type of client through the funnel, so we know who we're talking to beforehand. And then I'll ask them, so what are you looking to spend on this every month? So I'll know. And when it does come time for me to make the offer, then I'll either be in line or I'm not. And if it doesn't work to where they'll say, well, I can't afford that, I've been even known to say, well, you can't not afford it. If it's a plan that's going to cover, say, the 20% that Medicare doesn't, for instance, and they're worried about a big medical bill, that's one thing for $100 a month that they could not worry about versus every year having a $5,000, $10,000, $20,000 expense just from normal activity at that age. So to overcome those is really to set it up in the beginning to where you find out what their budget is beforehand. And hopefully with your marketing, you've done the right job, a good job in pre-framing everything to where not only have you found a kind of an avatar type client that works well for you and your offer, but they're in the buying mode also. So that would probably be the way I would go about it, is to, before it even comes up, find out what their budget is.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. John, do you have any thoughts on when you occurred that objection? Anything to add?
Sure. So, I mean, that's probably the most common, right? Price is always a subject that comes up. And I agree with what Dan's saying. It starts in the beginning of the process. part of it, right? You got to pre-qualify. You got to bring that up. But the way I coach guys that I work with, I tell them, bring it up right in the beginning. And a simple question that we use about price is, if every single company had the exact same price, what would be important to you then? Now you're really getting to the core of what's important to the client or the prospect, right? They may have had a bad claims experience. They may have bad customer service. They want to know if they have a personal agent. But if you just get that on the table right away, if every company had the same price, what's important then? Right? So that's how I would deal with price. And something I learned early on in my career, probably even before I got into insurance and sales, is a simple technique. I coach guys and use it all the time. I call it the fill, felt, and found. Some of you have probably heard of that before, but it pretty much can handle every objection. Hey, I would say, hey, Dan, I understand exactly how you feel. Some of my other clients felt the same way when they were dealing with price, but what they found in dealing with me is that they got a better value for their insurance dollar by working with me and my agency. So we just address it because we're trying to talk to their emotions and let them know that they're not alone. Everybody else has had the same concern. We understand what they're going through, and that's how we deal with it.
And let's see. It looks like Tyler's is got 4 different versions of his video right now. So I want to let him get his camera video working. But yeah, no, that's perfect. And I think so. We get some good comments. That's all about kind of qualifying up front. There we go. Or also, price is only an issue in the absence of value. Ensure you know the value of what you're providing trumps the price question. But yeah, you got to communicate that value, make sure that they see that value. You know the value of what you're providing, but they have to see that to kind of overcome that. True, that's another topic that you ensure you're fishing in the right pond, identifying your target market. And then Sharia has a good point of, yep, we ask them in our flows what their monthly budget is. And once they provide the answer, we then ask them if we find something that fits their budget, when would they like to get the coverage that they deserve. So that's good. So thanks, guys. Perfect. That's a great way to kick it off. So we got plenty of these. So we're going to keep hopping along because I think people want some answers to these. So John, I'll start off with you. I think you've done some commercial, John. So this is someone that was asking kind of more from a commercial standpoint. Like, my employees won't be interested if they're doing like group health or something like that, or any commercial policy where it's something with employees. Like either Dan or John, have you guys encountered anything with commercial wise of the people being like, I don't really know if my employees or anybody will be interested in this?
So I'll kind of go after that one. So I'll look at it from an angle because there's not a whole lot of content on there, but I'll just assume, David, that you're talking to the employer. Maybe you've already worked with them on their insurance and you're trying to pitch them on group benefits, whatever it could be, group benefits, life, group benefits, health.
Yeah.
And their feedback is, my employees won't be interested. I completely understand what you're saying. The way that I would like to present this to your employees is as a value add that you as the employer is bringing to them. Exactly. This is all about you giving them extra opportunities for better value, better products, and we're going to pivot it as if it's an offer that's coming from you as the employer, as the value that you're providing as a way to sustain and keep your employees happy. And that tends to be a better way to approach it. It's not about me selling them a product they don't need, but hey, your boss actually asked me to reach out to you. He thinks that what we can provide you would be extra value, and he really cares about you, and that's why he asked for me to meet with you.
Perfect. Dan, you have anything to add there?
No, that was great what he said, kind of positioning the owner to be a hero, right? Because employee types, a lot of the people in your group are independent agents or entrepreneur types. We may not have the same mindset, but a lot of employees do find that they're valued more, quote unquote, if they're given more benefits. So having the broker explain to the group that the employer values you so much that he's offering these extra benefits, he's taking on some of the costs, etc. Now, some of these are voluntary, so he may not have to take any of the costs, but the fact remains, you wouldn't be there as a broker without him to position him, and that'll help.
Awesome. Tyler, we got you back on. So
yeah, switch to the laptop because I was having issues with the app. So hopefully this works out better.
Yeah, laptop it is. So the objection we're kind of talking about right now is like, if you're talking about group benefits, commercial health, maybe like if you're talking to a business about commercial P&C, it maybe if they're not interested, or kind of communicating that I don't know if my employees be interested. Do you deal with group or commercial side at all?
I do a little bit of commercial. I really like dealing with families and large investments and stuff like that. But I don't really do any like group health plans or anything like that. Um, so I have done some commercial stuff, um, and I've got quite a bit of a market for that. But usually, a lot of those folks come to me, and objections that I potentially have to deal with are the ones that, well, not so much of me because I'm all about objection prevention, come later in the call rather than the initial, I don't think I'm interested, which a lot of folks do deal with that depending on how they're marketing themselves, especially in the commercial space. Like I'm not a big advocate of cold calling, but when it comes to the commercial world, I feel like that's still pretty viable. And so a lot of folks do run into that. Well, I'm not so much interested. And so I think it would be about asking the right questions. It's like, well, like I heard right as I came back on, I don't know if my employees would be interested. Well, now it's like you got to ask the right questions to find out. How do we find out if they're interested? And obviously that can, if they have a bigger employee base, I feel like it'd probably be easier because there's going to be a group of people that are going to want to do it. So
Yeah.
I mostly deal in personal lines, but I do some commercial stuff.
Yeah, definitely. So I got one for you that I'm going to bring up right now. I do want to mention people watching this, feel free to ask any questions or do your rebuttals in the comments to the same objections I'm bringing up. And I'll be giving out some prizes. Anybody who's got good rebuttals that they're dropping in there. I did want to mention too, I forgot that obviously a lot of people watch this on mobile. If you watch this on mobile, you can't actually click the links while you're on mobile in the comments. And so anybody watching on mobile that wants any of the resources, any of the links that we're dropping or anything in the comments that's link based, just comment hashtag more info, and Elle or someone from the team will Facebook message you all the different resources we talked about here. So that way you don't have to leave the live, you'll get all everything, and you don't have to worry about not being able to click on the links and stuff. So Tyler, have you ever heard the objection, like Geico's cheaper, or I should go with Geico? Anything? The general is the man, or anything like that?
Oh man, all the time. With Geico, I can usually beat them anyway, but so there might be an agent or two that disagrees with me, and I'm going to tell you that you're wrong. But Geico is a horrible company. Now, you don't want to be the agent that just trash talks other companies because that makes you look biased, right? That makes you. So what I'll do is if I I had somebody. So this actually happened to me about a month ago. I had somebody. I moved them over to Nationwide, and I gave them over double their liability. I added all kinds of stuff they didn't have before that was useful to them because she's a single mom that doesn't make a ton of money. And so I only saved her like 10 or 15 bucks a month. But I'm like, look, if all this stuff happens, you're going to have a rental car. You're going to be able to get towed. You're going to have all this stuff you didn't have before. You've got a top tier company. You've got a deductible waiver, and you've got me. And she's like, that's great. She signed up. She called Geico to cancel. And they're like, well, here, let's rewrite your policy. And they did that because she'd been with them for 3 years. So they rewrote her policy, and they leveraged her increase in credit as well as her time with them because, longevity discounts for a new policy to lower her cost about $15 lower than what I had. And she's like, so you're going to kill me because Geico beat your rate, and I think I need to go back to them. I'm like, really? I said, okay, send me the policy. And so she did. They gave her the same liability she had before, the same high deductibles she had before, and didn't change a thing. And so I then, instead of just trash talking Geico, I went over that bit by bit. And then I told her a couple stories of my own personal experiences and experiences other people have had with them. And they're like, look, this is a pattern that I've noticed with Geico. A lot of my customers that had them before went through these problems. Also, there was a large class action lawsuit against them for these kinds of things. So at the end of the day, when you have a call center style company, those people in that call center don't know you from Adam, and they know they'll never have to talk to you again. They're there to meet a quota and let you go. Me, I've got your back for life. You don't have a go-to advocate with Geico. It's like they might be saving you money now, but what's going to happen when they tell you that something's covered that something's not covered that you thought was? Who has your back? And so at the end of the day, she said, you know what? You're right. Can you just send them a cancellation notice for me? And so I did. I sent the 435. So when it comes to Geico in particular, and with really any call center style company, I just show them, it's like, look, these are the patterns that these companies follow. They're in a call center. A lot of them hate their job. And so all they care about is meeting that quota so they can sell you a policy and move on because they know they'll never talk to you again. Me, I've got your back for life. Me as an independent in particular, if the company makes you mad, I've got your back. And if we can't fix a problem, worst case scenario is we'll move you to somebody else. Like, would you rather have somebody that always has your back when the crap hits the fan? Or do you want to call customer service and hope that you get somebody that's in a good mood that day?
Yeah, absolutely. So it's about comparing apples to apples, and also, price is not the only factor, and making sure to highlight the other factors that are there. Maybe bringing in some stories and some personal stories, either of you or potential clients you've worked with. Those are always, key as well. John, and then Dan, I'll get your thoughts too.
Well, so I'll kind of add to what Tyler said. And so I'm a big believer in, you don't add value in yourself by talking bad about another company. You actually make yourself weaker. So I avoid that at all costs. Exactly. And so I'm going to talk about the benefits that I offer and my companies offer, or my carriers offer. But I really, when it comes to price, and everybody's, cheaper is such a word used in the marketplace in everything today. But I coach my people. I work with agents. When I did this as an agent, I told people, I would just be point direct. And this, I'll use as an example, right? I'm sitting here, I have my Starbucks cup today. And if I'm sitting in front of a client or a prospect and they tell me, well, so-and-so is cheaper, I'm going to really pay attention to my surroundings and say, well, let me ask you, you're drinking a Starbucks coffee today. Is that the cheapest coffee you could buy? Right? And I'm going to pause to hear their response. Well, they're going to tell me, no, of course not. So, well, why do you buy it? Well, because of the brand, because of the value. Okay, I understand that. Well, let me ask you again. You're driving, for me in California, we see this every day. Well, you're driving a BMW. Is that the cheapest car that you could possibly buy? Well, no, of course not. Then why do you want to buy the cheapest insurance? Don't you want the best insurance to protect what you actually have told me you value? And so it's always about value. And people, we've been, as consumers, we're driven to think about price. But none of us buy the cheapest. We buy what we see value in, and we'll pay more for it. And it's our job to help them understand where's the value at. And I'll talk about the value that I offer in an agency or my carriers, never talking bad about someone else. But I'm very direct, because people will come in our offices, our agents' office all the time, driving really nice cars, and then tell me they want the cheapest insurance. There's just a disconnect. I don't get it.
Yeah, man, I tell people that cheap insurance is the most expensive thing you'll ever buy. And John, I love that parallel that you just drew with the coffee and the cars. That was beautiful. It was perfect.
Yeah. And sometimes it's the people that spend the most on other things that are the penny pinchers in other areas, and some of that's just not seeing the value or recognizing it and just seeing this is some expense I have to pay. I don't see what it's actually accomplishing when you put it in terms of this is how it's protecting you, and this is how bad it could go if you don't have this, then it kind of really makes them see the value. So it's kind of, it's still at the end of the day, making them see the value of it is. Daniel?
Their experience, some people may not have had a bad experience yet with a personal line like these guys are talking about, and so they'll just go off price. The big companies that are in competition with independent agents or other captive firms are always talking price. 40% savings everywhere you see, 50%. So, as John said, everybody's conditioned to think about price. But what I think, as a consumer, value is important to me. I'm not going to get the cheapest company, but not everybody's like that. So you got to touch on their experiences, I think, to make sure that they're in line. And if they've not had a bad experience, maybe a good example of some of your past clients and how they've had some bad experiences. Definitely don't want to talk negatively about another company in particular, but I would say, John, I sometimes will, not talk about the company, but the culture, as Tyler was mentioning, these call center styles. I used to work in a call center. That's how I cut my teeth as a young agent. Now, I had a really self-conscious effort to try to be there for all of them at the end of the day as much as I possibly could. But the quotas that were given to us made it impossible for me to really do any great service on the back end. So, as an independent agent, if you're in front of them, even talking about the value you bring as a person versus, say, the culture of a big call center style company. Yeah.
What I'll add to that, Dan, I think you hit on something perfect, and I don't want to go too long on this topic, but I think most people that are in this group or watching this live or a part of all of that we're talking about today are independent agents, captive agents, but they're in an agency model, right? So I really tell people, do you want to be the cheapest? Because if you want to be the cheapest, that means you have no value in yourself. Right. If you have value in yourself as the professional agent, you should want to be more expensive. because that means that you know you have value in the equation. If you can't offer value, then you actually should send them to the cheapest carrier out there, because your price is based on you being the agent that gives them the professional service. Otherwise, send them to a call center. That's what I tell them.
Mm-hmm.
Great point.
Perfect. And
Absolutely.
I think that.
Go ahead, Tyler.
Go ahead. Oh, so I was going to say, there have been several cases where, you know, the way I deliver my quotes, and this is part of my chain sales, is all about objection prevention. Because when you build enough value and enough understanding early in the call, a lot of those objections go away, and sometimes they still come up. But I literally can't count the number of times where somebody said, you know, Tyler, I got a couple quotes before I called you. Some of them were cheaper, but because of how you explained this and the type of person that you are and our conversations, and you told me things that other agents have never told me, I trust you, so I'm going to go with you. Mm-hmm. And it's all, when you're just transparent with people, and you break things down into little tiny pieces that a toddler can understand without making them feel like a toddler, they respect you and they trust you. Because the insurance industry, unfortunately, we have a big stigma, and most consumers are trained, like you guys said, they've been conditioned. They've been trained by the industry to only think about price. And so they don't see us as people doing a service. They see us as a vendor and a number. And that's why people are like, just give me the lowest rate, give me the state minimums, or whatever the case may be. You know, it's like, I only need general liability for my business. I'm not worried about this, because they don't trust us. But when you build that trust, a lot of those objections go away ahead of time. And later in the call, after we get through a couple things, I'll give away a couple of my secrets to some people here on the video that helps prevent that. I'll give a couple pieces of my process away to help some people today.
Sweet. Awesome. And that was all great. That's a ton of stuff on that one objection. We got a bunch more. So already really great stuff. Renee saying, agree 100%, John. I never buy a product based on how cheap it is. Yeah, if you buy stuff on how cheap it is, you're going to be buying a lot of things many times. But if anybody's listening to this in the background of it playing, you might want to mute it, because I think I hear a little bit of a loop here. Tyler, I think it's you. It looks like when I muted you, it went away.
That might be me.
Yeah, if you can just check if there's another one going on. But I did want to bring up Rob Liano. Had a pretty good rebuttal, and when you are making sure you're comparing the exact same benefits, someone's talking about it cheaper. Rob, make sure to get you a trip certificate. Good point. Others that are watching, make sure to drop your rebuttals in there too, and I'll make sure to get you some prizes. So let's go ahead and hop on to the next one. Let's see what we got here. I like this one because this is also a very common one. I have to talk to my wife, husband, daughter, son, dead aunt, pastor, someone else has got to be someone I got to go talk to before I make this decision.
That's one of my favorites.
Oh, yeah. So who wants to hop in first?
Go ahead, Tyler.
I'll jump in on that one. So there is a split in the sales world on whether or not this is a legitimate objection. And for some reason, people aren't allowed to have a nuanced opinion. I have a nuanced opinion. Sometimes it's legitimate. Sometimes it's the stall. It depends on the case. And it's up to you to not worry about whether or not it's a stall and be consistent in your process. So here's specifically what I do. Again, my process builds value and all that. Once I get to that point where it's like, if they say, you know, Tyler, that's really awesome. You're saving me money. You're giving me better coverage. I really want to do it, but I got to talk to my wife or my dog or whoever the case may be. I'll ask them, okay, awesome. I totally understand. I make decisions with my wife as well. We're a team. I get it. I'm on board. Is she with you right now? Yes or no? Yes. Okay, awesome. Why don't you go ahead and have a quick chat with her? I'll just wait here quietly. That way, if she has any questions, I'm available right now, and we can get this out of the way. Sound good? And usually they'll go get her, and then she'll say, sometimes she'll say, yeah, go ahead and do it. Sometimes she'll say, well, I want to look over it, and I'll be like, okay, well, what questions do you have? And then I'll just sort of go through the short version of the process and close it down. If they're not there, they're like, oh, okay, you need to talk to her. I totally understand. And if you can't convince them otherwise, and again, this is my process. Other people have different ways of handling this. I'm not the be all end all. This is just what I do, and it works. Okay, awesome. When's she gonna be home? She gets off work at 5. Okay, so you guys will have a couple minutes to talk at about 5:30. Yeah, probably. Okay, awesome. How about I give you a call at 5:30 when she gets there? That way, when you guys talk, if you have any questions, I'll be right there, and we can get this out of the way. Sound good? Yes. and then you would follow an appointment setting process and be like, okay, awesome, write this down in case you have to call me. And then you don't let them get away without having a plan. Because I think that's where a lot of salespeople screw up is they're like, okay, well, how about you talk to her and maybe I'll call you tomorrow. And when you don't have a plan in place and you don't have them committed, they might not answer the phone. They'll be like, I'll just answer it next time. I'm watching my show right now. Click. And they'll ignore the call. So you either need to get that other person on the phone right now, or if they're not there and they're adamant about talking to them about that decision, you make a plan for when they're going to be there and when to get them on the phone with you so that they don't ghost you. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. Absolutely. John, Dan?
I'll jump in on this one. So I think I would agree with a lot of what Tyler said. Again, a lot of the objections are handled on the front end, right? So if you start your process, I don't care if it's a sales call, if it's a follow-up on a lead, whatever it might be, just a simple question to say, I want to kind of presume the close already. So I say it exactly this way. When you found that you're getting value from what I'm offering you today, are you the person that can make the decision? If they tell you yes, then that objection's off the table. If they tell you no, then you need to find out who is actually the decision maker. And I wouldn't go probably any further than that. It's a waste of my time. So if I bring it on the table right away. When you find value in what I'm offering you today, are you the person that can make the decision? It's a simple yes or no. They say yes, I'll move forward. If they say no, when is the time that I can connect with you and the decision maker to make sure that what I propose to you today is the best value for you and your family, you and your wife, whatever the situation might be? That's one way to address it. If you don't do it on the front end, it's a little bit harder on the back end, but it's also a little bit product driven, right? So if you're talking about life insurance, I think it's a little bit easier, right? If it's a life insurance type of process, if that comes up, the objection is, I need to speak to my wife, my husband, whatever it is. I go back to my technique. I can understand completely how you feel. A lot of my clients felt the same exact way you felt. But what they found is that it was important to get some type of coverage in place today because they didn't know what tomorrow was going to bring. And we can always make adjustments. We can talk with your partner and make sure it's the right fit. But they found that getting something in place today was more important.
Excellent. No, that's perfect. And Dan?
Yeah, same thing. All objections are, and we spoke about this, David, before we went live, it's a lack of trust. So if they say, I've got to talk to my aunt, or I've got to talk to my spouse, or whatever it may be, they're either one of two things. They're not the decision maker, as John mentioned. So the way I kind of go about that in my senior market, I'll say something like, hey, Ms. Smith, thanks a lot for making your inquiry on the Medicare supplement plan we're offering, so on and so forth. And I'll say, so yeah, it looks like you got Mr. Smith there with you. Which one of you normally handles the insurance? Is that you? Because at this age, I can assume so. Okay, so I'll make some assumptions on, so are you the one that handles this? It's the same part of the process where we kind of talk about budget in the beginning as well, because for certain things, in my line, people do have very strict budgets and they don't want to spend more because they don't have more. So you kind of try to find out what their prices are available to them to spend, and then quickly ask, hey, I can hear Mr. Smith in the background, or is Mr. Smith there? You put on here that you have a spouse. Is he the one that normally handles this, or do you need to have him here with you? And if she'll say, in most cases in the senior market, what I've found is that it is the female that does a lot of the research and work for the health insurance. So we'll just continue there with that. It's usually also something that if somebody will say to me, well, I've got to talk to my sister. I'll say, is your sister an insurance agent? And that's kind of direct, and it might be taken the wrong way, but it's worked so many times I couldn't tell you, because what it does, it just backs them off of this emotional feeling that they have, right? And it puts you in a position of, well, I'm the professional here. Ma'am, let me remind you, the state has given me a license, and inside of that license, I'm bound as a fiduciary to my clients. So I literally can't do anything unless it's in your best interest. And here's why I think this is in your best interest as a licensed professional. A, B, C, talk about the benefits, the savings, etc. But when they talk about their cousin at church who has the same plan they have, or if it's a family friend that signed them up years ago and they have to go talk to their agent, well, there's always a way to get through that in the beginning, but then also get them on the phone. oh, let's get your husband on the phone now. Is he with you? And as Tyler mentioned, I'm glad to wait, because normally what happens, ma'am, is when you start asking and you start having this conversation with your devoted spouse, it helps you make these decisions. A lot of times more questions will come up than answers. So I'm going to stand by here, let you two have a quick conversation, and let me know what questions you have, and we can make a good decision together. How does that sound? So pre-frame to where you can decide if they are the decision maker. These guys are giving all great advice. I really appreciate you having them here, David. But then at the same time, get to the point, get them on the phone. And if you can realize through your process and marketing, and not just in the beginning of the call, but how you do your marketing, where your leads come from, right? That has a lot to do with these objections, because if it's random, you're buying leads and they don't know who you are, it's going to be harder versus if they've seen videos from you, they've already seen your face, your offer, your voice, all these things, your agency, if they've driven by several times, if you're a local agent, for instance. But yeah, it's always a trust thing, and it usually can be overcome for sure. Now, some of the people are so strict that they will want to talk to their husband. And when I try one time, I'll say, perfect. When's a good time for us to have a three-way call where we could all go over this together? If he's at work still, then take the time necessary to come back to it later. You know, we want to be, in a way, I think, kind of stern, but yeah, I don't want to push people away. I want to keep the pipeline rich and full of prospects that are interested, give them the time they need, but then go back and really look at the call. A lot of times when this will happen, I'll listen to the call and go, where did I miss that rapport? What happened in this that I didn't do correctly? So record your calls and listen to them. That'll certainly help. It makes you feel human for sure.
Yeah, that was an excellent point of agents recording your calls and going back and listening to them and identifying either areas which you can improve, what you maybe forgot, or, you know, hey, I had trouble with this objection. Let me take this to my mentor, whoever my upline is. Hey, how would you respond to that? And that's what you guys, I mean, newer agents definitely need to be doing that, because you haven't heard everything. You don't know the different responses or how to work different things. So take that to your upline, your mentor, your coach, you know, whoever's above you's been there, done it before, and has some answers. Or reach out to these guys. These guys got plenty of experience here in the industry. Reach out to them. They're happy to talk and chat, and they got some great responses. Harrison commented, being able to get the spouse or decision maker in the conversation for the initial meeting can also help to close 2 life insurance apps, not just one, or additional policies. There's a lot more you can do with it if you can move the clients. The regular objections. But yeah, great point, Harrison. I believe you also said that I have a good FEX PowerPoint proposal that works through some of the normal rebuttals I can share with the group here shortly. Harrison, that'd be great. We really appreciate that if you drop that in there too. I'll get you some prizes, Harrison. We'll send you some trip vouchers. Thanks for doing that. We had let me see if I can figure out who wrote this comment, since I don't have the name here. Let's see. When we go through the appointment process, they would say, I don't remember doing that, mortgage protection, or they would say, I don't have a mortgage anymore, specifically age leads for mortgage protection. I believe that was Lyndon B. Johnson. So anybody with thoughts on that?
I'll jump in on this one. So, you know, what I'll say first, David, I was thinking about this. I was listening to everybody else. And for a lot of the people that are new, even the seasoned people that are in this group, go into all your sales process knowing that you're going to get objections. I think that's the number one point. I think that you're caught off guard because you don't think objections are going to come. You will never have a sales process that doesn't have an objection. There's nobody that's got the perfect company that's always got the best price, the best coverage, everything perfect. You're going to get objections. So go into every presentation prepared for it. Now, on something like this last one that came up, well, I don't remember giving my information or getting contacted. I jumped right to it. That's exactly the reason that I'm calling you today. I assumed you might have forgotten. I would have only gotten your information because at some point you were interested in a product, right, and I wanted to follow up with you to make sure that any of your needs were fulfilled. And I understand people forget all the time. We have busy lives, but the reason you just told me is exactly the reason I'm calling you. If it's mortgage protect, doesn't matter, because that's just an objection, really. They're just trying.
Right.
Excellent. Perfect. And then I got another one for you guys. Oh, lost John. He's in the lobby. I'll get him back on real quick. We had someone ask, how do you overcome the objection or common objection? We have insurance with a family friend, or I've already have my insurance through someone I know personally, a friend, church member, family member, whatever it is. That sort of objection.
That's a hard one. And maybe it's just me in the market I'm in with so many opportunities of seniors turning 65 every day or the 55 and up for the life insurance. At that point, if somebody says to me, hey, I'm with a family friend, that is a pretty tough one. Now, I'll say, great. I'll try to ask, have they given you a review in the last couple of years? Is this a family friend or somebody you know as an acquaintance? Find out how close they are to them. But for me, a lot of times, I'll just go on. I'll move on. If it's too hard of an objection for me, and this is not what these guys may say, but if it takes too much time for me to try to convince them to work with me over their cousin, for instance, or their brother, if it's their brother's wife, they're not going to change for that in most cases. So at least in the health insurance space with the Medicare, you see this a lot. I've got it with a guy at church, right? Even though he's near retirement, it's going to be a hard one to overcome. The best way to do it, I would say, would be to say, have they given you a review recently? And if you already know that you can compete on their price, because with the leads that we're generating through our system, David, I already know what they have. I already know a lot of information about them. They've already consumed a lot of content on us and our offer. So the one that you just had a minute ago, I don't remember submitting this request or any of that. Oh, okay, Ms. Smith, it looks like here that you said you live on State Street. You're paying $184 right now. You have United Healthcare. You also notice that your favorite color is blue. Does that ring a bell? So in the lead form or the survey style, whatever you're doing, you should be able to bring in some of the information from that to help it ring a bell. But again, as John said, usually that is just an excuse because they do remember in most cases, unless it's a really old lead, an age lead, for instance. But use the information they've given you in a very direct way, in a polite way. And you don't want to make them feel bad, like you said, because that's not going to help anything. So bring up the information that they've already provided because the marketing should have given you a lot of information on them in the first place. But if it's a family friend, maybe these guys will have some wizardry that they give. But for me, I'm going to move on if it's too close with the family friend.
Excellent. And Tyler, I'm going to hop in here and get your thoughts on that too. But right before that, Larry Thorpe had a good, if someone's like, I don't remember filling this out, something along those lines. Yeah, my wife fills out stuff with my name on all the time. They just move on with it. I like that, Larry. So yeah, I'll send you a trip certificate as well. Thanks for that. And then Shree is dropping a bunch of stuff as well in there in her comments on some of her flows and stuff. So make sure to check that out also. For our Abdullah, I'll get to that answer in just a second. But Tyler, what are your thoughts on I have insurance I have it with a family friend or church member, or whatever?
Yeah. No, I kind of agree with Daniel. In a lot of cases, you should just move on because there's a strange, it's not just loyalty, but I think people are also afraid to be the bad guy with people that they're close to. You know what I mean? Well, I don't want to upset my family or my family member because I got to see them at Thanksgiving, type thing. And I get that. So what I'll do is I'll kind of feel them out and I'll ask them. And I like the, have they given you a review lately? And yes or no. Sometimes they'll say no, but I'm not interested. Then, like you said, move on. What I like to do is be like, awesome. It's not my job to tear you away from somebody that is treating you well. I'm not going to do that to you today. So how about this? I'll run some numbers for you, and you can take it to them. And one of two things is going to happen. One, we'll be able to put the squeeze on them to maybe get them to save you more money. And even though you won't be my customer, you win. Two, worst case is maybe I'll save you $100 a month, and then you can still make the decision to stay or go. I'm not going to pressure you either way, but it doesn't hurt to get a little bit of information. Would you agree? And then they're like, sometimes they're like, you know what? Yeah, let's get the info. And then what happens is if I come in with a quote that's, just awesome, let's say it's $40 a month cheaper and it's double the liability and it's adding stuff they didn't have before, be like, here it is. I'll deliver it like I normally would. Be like, now, did you want to go ahead and do that? or whatever. I'll just go through my process like normal. I won't even like bring up the family member again, because they'll usually be so excited about like what I'm doing for them that they'll just be like, yeah, it's going to be a little bit awkward to cancel. Don't worry, I'll do that for you. But I kind of feel them out in the beginning, and I'll offer the opportunity to like take a look at it. And even if you're not going to switch, if I save you a bunch of money, you can bring it to them, and maybe they'll find a way to lower your bill. That way you at least have the opportunity to quote it. And when I run it through the rater, I'll take a look at it, and if there are some good ones, I'll just deliver it like normal, and it'll still close a lot of the time. Not quite as much, because again, like Daniel said, people can be loyal to family and stuff, so sometimes you really should just move on. It just kind of depends.
Excellent. Perfect. Okay, so we got some more we're going to go through too. We'll try to get through as much of this in the time that we got. And I know you guys are all busy, so I thank you guys for taking time and hopping on with me here. And let's see. Let's do. I have lots of insurance. I have enough coverage. I have the insurance I need. I've already bought insurance before. Kind of objections along that line.
Okay, so I think that's probably a pretty common one. They're insurance rich, right? Money poor, insurance rich, whatever you want to say it is. So, but I go back to what Daniel said on the last one, and this one's really valuable. I completely understand. When was the last time you had a review? And the common answer, 18 plus years in the business, the common answer is never, or I've never had one. Right. Well, is it possible that your situation has changed since you never got a review? Well, that's possible, right? Well, wouldn't it be worth your time to make sure that the coverage you think you have is actually the coverage that you do have, since you've never had a review, and make sure it's updated? Right. You may have too much coverage, you may not have enough coverage, but I'll give you an analysis under no obligation to make sure what you have is what you think you have, and make sure you're getting the best value for your insurance dollar.
I think too, David, being able to say to someone, I've got enough coverage, I'm plenty, I'm okay, thank you for your time. I would say the insurance industry is so dynamic, especially the industry, for instance, Medicare supplement. We'll just use my main line or Medicare Advantage, right? Medicare in general. It's such a dynamic industry. New companies are offering lower rates every month. If somebody's been on a plan, 90% of the time I'm able to save them money. And so I go back to, I understand that your plan is great when you took it out, and I'm glad that you have been covered this long by such a wonderful plan. This business is changing every single day. There's probably something out there that you're missing out on based on the fact that you've not had a review in 4 or 5 years, if that's the case, if that's what they say. Or if they say never, like John said, say, gosh, if you've not had a review, I want get excited. Say, I've got something I really want to share with you. This industry is so dynamic. Not those life insurance policies that you took out so many years ago, they've been replaced with a new style. Let me talk to you about that. Let me show you. I've got one of these on my own family, right? Talk about yourself and how, I'm always updating my stuff. I've got the best I can buy because I believe in what I do. And then that'll certainly help. But using the industry and the technology of the industry and the competitive advantage that these new companies and these new offers are giving consumers all over the country can be a great way. Not because what that'll do is it'll shift the value that you're trying to get outside of me, the agent, but it still gives this value to the consumer, and you're the bridge to that, the broker, right? So I want to show you what the industry looks like right now. Have you had a chance to see these new policies lately?
Awesome. Perfect. Tyler, from the PNC side, I already have insurance. I've already got car, home insurance. Do I need more, or what kind of happens with you with that objection of like, I've already got some?
Pretty similar. It's like, all right, awesome. So you had the same policy for a while. Yeah. Okay. When's the last time they went over it with you? Oh, never. If they've had the same policy for 30 years, sometimes the agencies also changed hands a couple times, and they're like, no, never. In fact, I don't even know my new agent, and it's like, man, this guy inherited, or this gal inherited a book and doesn't know any of their customers. That's not good, right? That's what I'm thinking. And I'm like, well, and so I'll ask them sometimes, when's the last time you had a review? And in other cases, they're like, awesome, I totally understand. And so how about this? I'll put some info together, I'll send it to you, and let you decide what's best for yourself. So I kind of take the pressure off, because if we're competitive, if whether you're captive or independent, if you know you're generally competitive in the market you're working in, you want to get as many quotes as possible, right? And so you do what you can to get the quote without pressuring them. And so I'll ask them if they've had a review, or I'll say, I totally understand, that's awesome. So here's what I'll do. I'll gather some basic info, put some stuff together, and send it to you and let you decide what's best for yourself. Does that sound good? Because when I say that, I will let you decide. That takes me out of the equation as like I'm trying to sell you something, as I'm trying to provide you some value, some information that's going to help you. And sometimes I'll give them worst case scenario. Worst case scenario is you're going to find out you've got the best deal out there, and you might even be able to leverage what I gave you to get your agent to lower your rate. Wouldn't that be cool? You know, and so they're like, okay, yeah, because I'm not necessarily, I want to take away the, I don't want them to feel like I'm trying to sell them something. I want them to feel like I'm trying to make their life better, because really that's what our mindset should be, is like, I'm trying to make my customers' lives better. I don't want them to get screwed over if they get into an accident, or if you do health and critical illness and stuff like that. I don't want them to have, you know, a $10,000 bill if they break their leg on the stairs because they have a high deductible and they don't have this plan in place too, and stuff like that. So when you speak to them and you rebuttal them in a way that is completely to their benefit, which is what these guys are doing too. John and Dan, you guys are awesome. You're clearly trying to give them value. You're not saying this, well, give me a chance to earn your business. You're saying, okay, let me give you some information that might make your life better. And that's exactly what I do. I've already got insurance. I think I'm good. Awesome. Let me send you some extra info so you have the chance to lower your bill, whether you stay or you go. I'm going to let you decide. Does that sound good? You got to take that pressure off. Does that make sense?
Awesome. Perfect. I've got about 3 more I want us to cover, and then we'll kind of wrap it up, and we can always do another round of these, because I'm sure there's a ton more too. But I got three more that I think will probably be pretty good, and I think especially life agents probably hear these a decent bit. I have life insurance through my work. Why would I need any other life insurance?
Ooh.
You know, I'm covered. What, you know, I'm good. I got it through my work. I'm set.
One on that. I know these guys are going to say, I'll start. Well, the thing about your life insurance through your job, while it is there for you now, will it be there for you if you decide to leave your job, or if your job decides to leave you? Because none of these plans are going to go with you when you work somewhere else. You could use statistics about, 30 years ago, people worked for the same company for 30 to 50 years, and it was okay to do that. Nowadays, we know that people are working for 6 to 10, if not 15 different companies. And those little term life insurance policies pay out at less than 2%, maybe 1%. So that's not a utilization that you can count on. So for me, it's always, do you plan on working for this company until you die? Because that policy is not gonna make it.
No, John.
Well, I'm not a whole lot different than what Dan's saying there, but he's spot on. And so I would use the same thing. I'm straight to the point. Do you love your job? And do you plan on being there forever? Right? Those are 2 simple questions. I'm having a conversation with them, but they might tell me they love their job, but they may have aspirations to go somewhere else. Well, do you realize when you leave the job, the insurance typically stays there? So would you rather have a product that your company owns, or a product that you own? Because your life, one thing I can guarantee you, there's 100% satisfaction guarantee you will have a claim on life insurance if you have it enforced. We're all going to die. So do you want to own that policy, or do you want to put that in the hands of your company that you're not sure you're going to be with forever?
And people don't realize that. They think, oh, I've got all these great benefits because it's sold like that. But they, for us, it's clear as a bell that policy doesn't come with me when I decide to change jobs. As an agent, we know that, but a lot of employees don't. So I try to do it. I said it a moment ago in a kind of stern way, direct way, but I don't want to make them feel bad for not knowing that. Right? I want to kind of educate and bring value. And what Tyler said a minute ago is spot on too with some of this stuff. You actually have to care about the people that you're working with. And when they feel that and they know it from your tone and your actions and your advice, a lot of these objections are just going to fall away. But the big one for that one would be certainly saying, hey, do you plan on working at this company until you die? Because that policy won't follow you, I promise.
And you're completely correct. When I started at a corporate job, we had little term policies as part of the benefits or whatever, and didn't even consider like, oh, if I leave this company, it'll go away. Or, because I'm thinking 1, 2, 3 years at a time, like I'm going to work at this company, I'm going to kind of invest. I'm not thinking, oh, I probably will eventually leave this company, or I probably will. And, when you're 20 something, you're not like, oh, I will eventually die. It's not normally on the mind.
A lot of young people that get these first corporate jobs in their mid-20s or early 30s, they'll say in their mindset, it's like, oh, well, I'll always be working for a middle management corporation. Whether it's here or there, the next company is going to offer me life insurance. That's just what I do. But the case may be, obviously, you can point out, well, that might not happen the way you plan out. If you get sick and you can't go back to work, or if you decide to be an entrepreneur and start your own business, every day that you wait, it's going to cost more to buy that life insurance. In fact, I've got some rates pulled up for you right now, what it would cost. And then I also have some rates what it would cost in 5 years if you waited. But the problem is that 5 years is not guaranteed. I can't promise that I can even get you this plan now, much less in 5 years. Right now, I believe you're in great health. I think underwriting is going to take on the risk and issue this policy out to you. For us to get that approval, we have to go through the application. And again, the whole point with the rebuttal on their work is, just ask them politely, do you plan on staying there indefinitely? And remind them that when you leave the company or the company leaves you, the life insurance stays.
Absolutely. Tyler, you got anything on there?
Yeah, extremely similar to what they said. In fact, all I have to do is add a little bit to it, a little bit of context. Like people, like us insurance agents, we're a lot more forward thinking than the average consumer when it comes to insurance, right? So like, for example, before I got into this industry, I changed jobs on average every year and a half. And so if not every one of my jobs had benefits, but let's pretend they did, right? And I got life insurance, because I think that was the objection. I have life insurance through my work, right? Every year and a half, if I change jobs, even if they had benefits with life insurance, the cost is going to go up because it's a new policy based on a new age parameter. Mm-hmm. So it's like, not only, like you guys said, it's like, are you going to be at your job forever? It's like, if you got a dream offer tomorrow, would you change jobs? Well, yeah, probably. Exactly. So that policy is not going to follow you. And even if they have benefits, you have to start a new policy. Now you're 3 years older. It's going to cost you more. You should lock something in that follows you wherever you go, so that no matter what, even if you get sick and you lose your job or whatever, this is there for you. They're not going to be there for you. And like you said, Dan, the utilization of those policies is about 2%. So it's like, that's not a lot of utilization. That's like pure profit for those companies, instead of people using it like they said. So it's like, so what's different about this person? Nothing really. So you guys were 100% spot on. It's like, just make them more forward thinking. Like, what if you change jobs in a couple of years? What if the job shuts down or fires you or whatever? You want something that is yours, that you own, rather than having to start all over again just because you decided to move up in your life.
Yeah.
Hey, real quick, David, I want to get a couple more objections too, but I also add something that I use in this just a couple weeks ago. You got to know what's going on in the market too. So if you haven't heard it, look up an article. Sears cutting benefits. Major national news. Amazon cutting benefits for employees. I have case studies, and I pull those out, and I'll be able to tell somebody, I'm not telling you something that's not true. Look what Sears did to all of their retired employees. Cut benefits when they're in retirement and now can't get coverage. This is what Amazon's doing. So these things happen in real world. It's time for you to own the policy that you own, not your company. And that's just, I would use those as test cases and just to add value to what you're saying to somebody.
Perfect. And we got a couple more, and then there was one more comment with a good objection too. After that, we're cutting off an additional objections for now, but feel free to keep dropping rebuttals in there. But Sharia did post that she's got a really good video on I have insurance at my job. That's on rebuttals and stuff for that. And Sharia, that'd be great. Yeah, if you can drop that video in the we'd appreciate that. So before I hop into the last two real quick, here's another one that Vanessa Barrera was asking. What about a potential common objection she might hear is, I'm a veteran, I'm completely covered. I'm a veteran, I have benefits, I have insurance. Do you guys hear that one at all?
So in the health insurance space for Medicare, if somebody's on a VA and a TRICARE, it's usually a hard one. That's where we're going to position a secondary ancillary product, because they may have full-on main coverage and may not need what we offer. But then there's always room for an ancillary when it comes to that, because they're not going to cover any travel. If people come to visit, if you have big hospital stay, you're going to have additional costs that they're not going to cover. And then you really want to dig into the life insurance with this. same thing. Even if they do have a retirement, say it could be military, it could be anything. If they've got benefits that have been given through a workplace, more than likely they're not sufficient, right? It's not enough. Those companies are selling those products in a way to where group insurance in general is based around the group. What if you're someone that's a little different than the rest of the group and you may need more coverage? So dig in, do a review, say, well, I totally understand. I know a lot of veterans and actually have been able to help several recently. Do you mind if I help you make sure that you have what you think you do and offer a free review and free assistance? And by the way, thank you for your service. Whatever it is to get the emotion across that you're trying to help. And because I work on the phone, we have to use tone a lot. I try to pre-frame everything, like I mentioned a moment ago, with our marketing and our video ads and whatnot. But at the same time, you have to get that trust built from the start. And if they are in a position to where you can't help them and they've got the coverage they need, by all means, it looks like you do have what you think you have and you are fully covered. If you know anybody that I can help, a neighbor at church that doesn't have this same stuff, please let me know. I'd be happy to help them. That's the biggest compliment you could give. Ask for that every single time. Somebody says no to you, say, well, do you know anybody else I can help? You could turn that into a yes from a no any day of the week. Those referrals will come in from people that you can't help just because you were nice about the way you gave that free advice.
Perfect. Tyler, John, you guys good, or are you ready for the next one?
I'll let you guys take that one. I don't deal with that world as much as at all, so.
I'll just put a spin on it real quick, David, because the word that jumped out at me in there is completely covered, and I see completely and I see fully covered in both types of the industry I work with. So this is how I would pivot on it. First off, as a veteran, I'm going to thank them for their service. Thank you for your service. You've covered me and my family because of your service to the country. Recognize them that way. But what I'm saying, this applies to if you hear somebody say, "Well, I'm fully covered," or "I'm completely covered." Well, in my experience, completely covered or fully covered means different things to different people. I'd like to understand what fully covered means to you and make sure that what your understanding of fully covered is actually what the full coverage should be for all of your protection. Would that be okay? That's just how I would address it. And that works on the PNC side, life side, health side, because completely and fully are just words that the industry has taught consumers to use, but they mean completely different things to completely different people.
Exactly. That's a great idea.
I think the industry is bad at communicating that to people, and so the customers start throwing around terms that they don't understand, and it's unfortunate because some of the vets, I think, did fall into traps like that because they deserve to be completely covered for all their service and stuff, and so they just assume that they've been given awesome stuff, and so I love that you guys are going that extra mile to make sure that our vets get what they really need.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I do want to point out, Shreya dropped that video, so if anybody's looking for that link, it's in the comments, so check that out.
I'll be finding that for sure.
Yeah, and we got two more real quick. I know we're a little over, but I do want to cover these because I think they're pretty good ones as well. My children will take care of me. Anybody run into that one?
Not really.
No. All right.
I mean, I
think that's more of a final expense one, maybe, but
people, the life insurance, my son will take care of me, all that, if a person
sounded like final expense to me.
If a person says that my children will take care of me, then they've got a twisted sense of responsibility, in my opinion. You need to find people that are qualified.
Yeah. You'll love the next one too, then.
The comment there is that the viewer, the poster had some bad marketing. I guess you could say, hey, so I totally understand that you've got a son, he's wealthy, he's happy to take care of you. Look, for just a certain price, $35 a month, we can take care of this so he doesn't have to feel that burden, even though he can do it. Is that something that you want him to do? But that's a good one there. I mean, I don't know if I've ever heard that one in all the years that I've been doing this. My children will take care of me. With life insurance, you're the whole aspect would be to take care of them, not them have to take care of you.
Yeah, I think some agents in the group are saying they've definitely run into that before. So it might be just a certain specific line of insurance. John, have you run into that?
Oh yeah, I mean I've heard this one, Tyler, David, and I've heard it two ways. So I'll go through the first one that my kids will take care of me, and I'm just direct in the way I work with agents. I've done it myself, and I tell them, are they aware of that? Are your kids aware that you're expecting that? And, and they say, well, what do you mean? I said, well, you said they're going to take care of you. Are they aware of that? If so, I'd love to talk to them because I probably could have a solution to make it easier on them. Right? They could be the policy owner for all I care. But a lot of times they say that and they say the kids don't even are aware of it. The other way that this comes up, and especially I see this a lot in the Latino market. Well, I don't want my wife to get the Sancho, the new boyfriend with the life insurance benefits, so I'm not going to buy life insurance. And so we attack that one and saying, well, why don't you give her an option that she doesn't have to remarry because you took care of the family? So that's how we'll get that.
Dog, that was.
That's a dog. Is that the new boyfriend that you're talking about, John?
I guess so. Perfect timing, huh?
Yeah. No, I love that response, Sean. That's perfect. That's great. And kind of bring it up because the kids probably don't know or are aware that they're going to be the ones expected to drop, the money on the funeral and all that sort of stuff, and have stuff set aside because obviously most Americans don't have anything saved. So yeah.
I mean, that has to be a lead that's either aged or somebody's just not shown too much interest at all in the offer. I'm not sure where that lead came from. That would be my question. All right, so we're trying to sell life insurance. We're trying to do prospecting for life insurance. We're running ads or we're buying leads, whatever it may be. And then if somebody says, my children will take care of it, I don't know. I would go back to the marketing on that. But I do like what John said. Hey, do they know that? That's a great one, John.
Yeah, I think John Boot said that he runs into, I'm not sure if it was the my children take care of me or the remarrying type thing went into pitching living benefits, but I guess sometimes it runs into that. But all the more reason to the program yourself so that you can show them what they're paying for, even if they can't tell you how much they're paying. But okay, so the last one, it may be kind of along those lines and stuff as well, that some people were saying that was an objection they hear is it won't benefit me because I'll be dead. So why don't? And that's just kind of, do you guys just move on to the next one, or is there a rebuttal for this?
Well, I'll jump in on this one, David. And this goes back probably almost to our first question. That's a very, I think about myself. That's a very hard comment to say if your wife's sitting right next to you. So if you have the right decision makers involved in the process, a husband's not going to say that with his wife sitting right next to him without her saying, well, I'm going to make sure I'm taken care of, or vice versa. And so that I've heard that come up. As shocking as it is, I hear that one coming up. I don't care about it. I won't be here. And so I attack it that way, making sure the right people are in the room when that conversation is made. And again, I'll go back to it. Is your wife aware of that you're not concerned about it? Or is your husband aware of that you're not concerned about it? I'd like to talk to them and see if we might be able to provide a solution, because they may not be aware that you're not worried about that. Right. Also, what are some of the goals that you want to have happen in your lifetime? And if you're gone, don't you want those goals to still happen for your kids, for your wife, your husband, whatever it is? And we can provide a solution to do that even if you're not here. And the last thing I'll say real quick, I know I'm going a little lengthy on this one. Something I learned a long time ago, you're going to be remembered no matter what. You get to decide how you're remembered. Remembered as the guy that bought the life insurance or bought the coverage, or the guy that did it. You're remembered either way. You get the choice to decide what that is.
Perfect. Anybody else want to hop on that one, or we'll kind of get towards wrapping up?
Okay?
Say what?
Oh, I was just making sure you could hear me.
Yeah, I can hear.
There was this weird lag, and then I couldn't hear you guys for a minute, so I wasn't sure if something shut off. So I was gonna go back to the whole, for just a second, the kids will take care of me thing. Kind of like Daniel said, it's one of those situations where you might just want to move on. I think that you got to filter between, is this person entitled, or do they just not really realize what they're doing? And if it turns out they're just kind of an entitled jerk, you probably want to move on, because I don't like to do business with people like that. But if you do what John did and filter them out and be like, are they aware of that? Do you want them to deal with that? And they're like, oh, I guess not. And then, move forward. So.
Yeah, and there's some good comments in the comments here. Let's see. Vanessa Barrera is saying, I have experienced a man tell me I don't care. Let's see, her new man can take care of her and our kids. I refuse to leave her money.
Wow.
That's
well,
that's an unfortunate situation to be in. But
being in sales, phone sales for the last 12 years. It's all about a pipeline, and we know for a fact that the best agents out there on the phone can close 15% max. Anybody tells me they close more than that on phone sales, I really want to talk to them. I got something to learn. we're right now, we spent $6,000 on a campaign. We've got a pipeline value of almost $950,000. I've already lost $500,000 of that book of potential business because they weren't the right candidates. It's all about for us having enough leads to where I can cherry pick. I don't want to sound like that's what everybody should do, but I think some of the top salespeople that I've looked up to and I've watched in corporate setting as well as on the independent side is they have so many leads and such a good pipeline that they can decide. And the best agents are the ones that can deviate who they can help and who they can't. And if somebody tells me, her new man can take care of that, then I'm just going to move on to somebody that needs to. But maybe one objection, like John said, do they know that? Or the children are going to take care of it. Well, do they know that? That's a solid rebuttal. But at the end of the day, better marketing with better quality leads and higher intent-based prospects, but then enough of them to where you can say no will help you close more, I believe.
And
I think a lot of agents are afraid to say no to people or to not pursue it because they're like, I got to make as many sales as possible, and they give in to desperation and they get a bad book of business. But if you play it right,
they won't trust you enough. If you show any sign of weakness or desperation, I don't find that people buy from that type of attitude. They want to buy from somebody confident and secure that they like.
Yeah. And when you're confident enough to tell people no or to move on to the next person, it's like you're going to get a better book of business. Your retention is going to be higher. Like I had my Safeco rep come by the other day because she was just doing her trip through the area, and we're talking about non-standard customers. And I told her that my non-standard retention is almost as high as my standard. She's like, I don't believe that. I'm like, no, it is, because I choose who I work with, and the same thing applies to your guys' fields and Medicare and health and stuff like that. It's like if you know who your perfect prospect is, a lot of those objections are less of a problem in the first place.
Totally. And that can be handled with the marketing. I'll go back to that. I mean, pre-framing and knowing where your prospects are coming from. Obviously, we would all love to be able to get referrals every day from people who we've already done business with, but that's not going to happen as much as you want. So if you've got good marketing in the front that'll pre-frame the offer, build you as the national expert, then a lot of it will become easier. But yeah, having some of the things to say that will come from experience will make it easier. But you won't sell them all. I guess that's kind of my takeaway is you don't have to. You can just keep moving on and have a good positive attitude, because what will happen is you'll go all day maybe not sell anything, and then wake up the next day and the first call could be a one-call close. And how did that happen? And it wouldn't have happened if you didn't have a positive attitude going into it.
Perfect. And so we do need to kind of head towards wrapping up, because we're definitely over, and kind of want to respect your guys' times as well as everyone on here too. There's so much good stuff, so we're definitely going to do another rebuttals one for sure. I do want to point out, let's see, Shreya made a good point on if someone's like, oh, I'm going to be dead, or it doesn't matter, or anything along those lines, that if you're talking about living benefits and stuff on a policy that they can actually use when they get sick, illness, something like that, well, they can actually use it before they're dead. So that might change their minds on that point, and they start seeing value in it. It's not just something after I die. So that was a good point. And then I believe it was Larry Thorpe had a good comment on mortgage protection. If he uses that objection, look him right in the face and ask if he wants his wife to be on Tinder looking for someone to pay the mortgage, or if he wants her to be at home helping the kids with their homework and guaranteeing his legacy. Woo! I don't. We'll see on that. Man. But it's a good point. So yeah, I like it. So yeah. So one of my team members, I think Elle, is going to give me the winner for picking out someone who had a really good rebuttal in the comments and stuff a month. So I'll let her tell me that. I'm just still laughing over the. Do you want to see? But I do once again want to say thank you to all you guys that are hopped on and watching and been participating in the comments and giving us objections beforehand of what to answer and all that stuff. We really appreciate you guys. But I want to give a special big thanks to some of our vendor partners that hopped on to drop some knowledge bombs for you guys. Once again, Daniel Farlow, excellent guy to talk to. Really any lines, but if you're talking automation, lead gen, want to learn it yourself or have someone do it for you, any of those side of things, or a software to kind of help run and work all those leads and stuff for you as well. If you got leads coming in, he's the guy to talk to. He's been in this industry, knows a ton of stuff, automation wizard. Yeah, Dan's a good guy to chat with. Also want to thank John, Agency Elevated. If you're looking to grow and scale your business, especially an agency, and build a team, become quite successful with that team and the hiring and sales and all the things that go into that, John is a wealth of knowledge, has helped many people do that, has done it himself, and is a great guy to chat with about that. Tons of free resources. His blog, his podcast are excellent. He puts out a ton of value, and we have some more exciting stuff coming up with him pretty soon too. So stay tuned for that. And then also big thanks to Tyler from PNC Revolution. If you're looking organic social media, how to work that. If you love memes, Tyler's the king of them. And his social strategy is excellent and gets people flowing leads and referrals into him all the time without him doing any ad spend. So it's a pretty cool thing to learn. You guys can check that out, talk with him. All these guys, happy to chat and answer questions. I mean, these guys are great, and they're here, and they're obviously hopping on this live and helping out, providing some value and stuff. And so they're excellent. So pick their brains. They're just excellent people, friendly. They're not gonna ignore you or not gonna tell you go away. They will help, and so they're excellent. So thanks guys so much for being here. You guys got any closing words? Yeah, you guys can go ahead and each have a round.
Okay, I wasn't sure if you were closing it out or if we were going to be able to throw a couple more
for it.
out.
Sure.
Okay, I do got to get going soon, but I wanted to give away a couple of my own little secrets that I use to help people in general with objections, either in prevention or handling. Like I said at the beginning, I'm a big fan of objection prevention, but you should also know how to handle them. And a thing to remember, and this is more of a mindset thing, is it's not about having necessarily a million scripts. It's about having a process to handle things. So a thing that I do in my sales process is you want to ask more questions in the early part of the process. And this is probably true on the health and life side too. Remember, I don't live in that world as much as you guys do. But you want to ask as many questions as possible, because the more information that you have, the more that you can leverage to help them. So I'll ask them questions about what they need, what they're looking for, do little small trial closes and be like, oh, so that happened to you? Okay, I'll make sure we do this so that you're covered for this as well. Does that sound good? Yeah, sure. How does this sound? Sounds good. And so my big close, not my big closer, my big question, I'm a 2-call close guy. At the end of the first call is, okay, awesome. I believe I have all the information that I need. I'm going to get started on this right away. But before I go, one last question. I'm not going to ask you to commit to anything yet, but if I can find XYZ that you told me was important to you, I can get this and that for you, and I get all the things you said and then more. Is there anything else you're going to need before moving forward today? One of two things are going to happen. One, they're going to say, no, that's going to be everything. And then when you come back to the table later with everything they asked for, the objection, I need to think about it, or I need to talk to the wife, all that stuff's usually just gone. Or that objection is going to come out on the first call and not at the closing table. So they might tell you, well, yeah, if you find everything I need, then I'll want to do it, but I don't get paid till this day. And I have a process for handling that. Or, yeah, I'll want to do it, but I'll need to talk to my wife. And so now you'll know ahead of time before you get to that closing situation. I'd rather have an objection out of the way before I get to the closing table. So I ask, again, I'm going to repeat that question. I'm not going to ask you to commit to anything yet because I obviously don't even have a price yet. But if I can find everything that you asked me for and some other benefits and all this stuff, is there anything else you'll need before moving forward today? They'll tell you no, or they'll give you the objection before you get to the closing table. And notice the positive connotation. Is there anything else you'll need? Not what would stop you from doing business. Because when you ask it that way, they look for things that would make them say no. Instead, ask them what else they need. That way, when you get to the closing table, they'll go, well, yeah, that's all great. I need to think about it. You'll say, okay, awesome. I totally understand you need to think about it. But it looked, in our first call, you said you needed XYZ. And if I could get you that, as well as this and that you'd be ready to go. It looks like we got all that. So is there something that I missed? So now you're bringing them back to what they said and making them go, oh, I did say that. Okay. And reminding them their commitment. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. That's perfect, Tyler. And actually, all that would be a great little short video for the group if you want to drop that in at any point. I think that'd be great.
I actually probably will do something like that. And this next thing I'm going to say will be a lot shorter. As you run into objections
in like 5 minutes, so I gotta be wrapped up and on that call.
You do? Okay. Guys, I'll do a whole video on this. How about that?
Yeah, just drop it in the comments and drop it in the group, and people will love that. And I did want to point out we dropped some links for Tyler, John, Dan in there if you want to either chat with them, check their stuff out. Lots of good stuff in there. I do want to say if I haven't mentioned it before, Vanessa, Lyndon, Harrison, you all had great stuff today in the comments. So I want to get you guys all trip vouchers, and I don't feel like picking an individual for the winner. So all three of you, I'll give you guys a free month of the Insurance Marketing Toolkit and get you hooked up with that. Shoot me a Facebook message and we'll get you hooked up there.
Awesome.
John, Dan, any final words? And we'll.
Happy birthday, David. Thanks for having such an awesome group and helping all these agents get better at what we're doing out here. Thank you, sir.
Thanks for being here.
Yeah,
John?
Yep. And all that is the same thing. Thank you, David, putting this together. Thank you guys for being on here. Thank you for everybody with the comments. Continue to keep working on it. It's a great industry. Support each other. Look for help anywhere you can. It's the only reason I've been able to be in so long, because I didn't do it on my own. I got help just like you guys are doing. So keep leaning on people. Have a good day.
Thanks, everybody. Really appreciate you guys being here. And we'll do another one of these soon. So thanks, everybody. Have a great weekend.
Yeah.